I'm gonna be upfront with you. This video is not about the new one. Hello my friends, my name is AJ and welcome back to my book nook, and today we're doing something a little bit different. So last week, the new adaptation of Cinderella by Amazon Prime starring Camila Cabello as the titular role was released to
Let's get loud! Oh, wow.
Mixed reviews. This video is not about that movie. I don't have Amazon Prime. I don't have an interest in giving Jeff Bezos more money than he already gets from me. And I also don't really want to watch the new one. So I did what I normally do when there's a movie that comes out that I want to know what it's about but not actually watch it, and I watched other people's reviews of it. And general consensus is mixed. Yeah, it's mixed. However, what I did find in watching these videos is that some people seem to have missed the point of the original Cinderella from 1950 done by Disney, and that kind of upsets me. Cinderella was not my favorite princess growing up. That role has always gone to Ariel, and I'll probably try to make a video on the new adaptation of it when it comes out in a couple years. But Cinderella has always held a special place in my heart. I remember watching that movie over and over and over again as a kid, and it had been such a long time since I watched it that I watched it again, and it really does still have that nice charm to it. It's just a very fun movie to watch. However, like I said, there seems to be some people who don't really get Cinderella, and this isn't the first time I've heard the criticism about the character and the film. So today I'm gonna try and defend one of my favorite Disney princesses from some of the criticism that I have heard. So one of the first criticisms that I typically hear is that Cinderella was weak. She just kind of sat around waiting for her problems to be fixed, and that's not really the case. See, Cinderella was in an abusive family. She had lost everything. First her mother had died, and then she lost her father, and now her family has lost all their money because we're told that the house is in disrepair because the stepmother is spending all her money on her daughters.
The chateau fell into disrepair, for the family fortunes were squandered upon the vain and selfish stepsisters, while Cinderella was abused, humiliated, and finally forced to become a servant in her own house.
She continues to be put down, constantly berated, constantly made fun of, and forced to do the chores for the entire family and not allowed to have a single lick of fun. One of the criticisms I've heard is, why did she never try to escape? Why didn't she just leave? Where was she gonna go? She didn't have the money to go anywhere. This was her childhood home. It was the last thing that she had to connect her to her family. Not to mention that, but what about the animals that she's grown close to? The horse and the dog that she's had since she was a kid, and the mice and the birds that she has become friends with. Knowing that the family has no money means that the dog and the horse are probably either going to be sold or so mistreated and neglected that they might as well have been sold, and the mice will probably get caught in a trap or by the cat, so that's why she doesn't leave. Also, it's often very difficult for a lot of people in abusive relationships to get out of the situation. It's not as easy as just packing up your stuff and leaving, and that's something that happens with Cinderella. However, despite everything that's happened to her, she remains kind and polite to everyone. Despite everything that's happened to her, she still holds out hope that someday she will get what she deserves. Someday she'll get to be happy. She believes that maybe there's some good still in her stepmother and her stepsisters and even her stepmother's cat. She's kind to all the animals, even the mice, which most people would probably not want invading their house. And eventually she does see that the world is kind back to her. And we see that when her fairy godmother arrives. That's her kindness coming back to her. We see that when the mice and the birds come to help make over her dress for her. It's because she's been so kind to them that they're willing to do this in return for her. The message of the movie is not that she needs to just sit there quietly and accept this. It's that if you're kind to people, that they'll bring that kindness back to you. It reminds me a bit of the movie Paddington, which is a critically acclaimed film. One of the lines in Paddington is, if we're kind and polite, the world will be right. And that is basically the same message that Cinderella is giving. That if you continue to be kind to everyone, whether they are as important as a prince or a duke, or as lowly as a mouse, then eventually that goodness will come back to you. And despite the fact that she never fights back against her stepmother or her stepsister's abuse, she does express her distaste for it and does actually try to speak out against her stepmother. She talks about how even the clock is ordering around, and when she's preparing their food, she's always very dismissively going, all right, I'm coming, in a very kind of upset way. But she doesn't express this to their face. She does this where she knows that she can do it without getting any repercussions. But we do actually see her stand up for herself, or at least attempt to. When the mouse is found under the teacup and she's called into her stepmother's room, she tries to defend herself, saying, I didn't do this, you know I wouldn't do that. But she keeps getting cut off. And when the royal decree comes for the prince's ball, and she's told that she must not be able to come, she defends herself saying, well, it did say every eligible maiden, and I am an eligible maiden. So while she doesn't verbally berate her stepmother and stepsisters for the way that they treat her, she does stand up for herself in small ways. And she does continue to be strong by believing in her dreams and holding on to who she is and being a kind person. It would be easy for her to become jaded and unhappy, but she decides not to let them get to her and continues to be kind and polite to everyone. And that's what I love about Cinderella, is that they show kids that you don't have to be physically strong or brave to be powerful and strong. You can just be kind, you can just be you and continue to believe in your dreams, and that's enough. And for any kids that might have grown up in an abusive household, they might be able to relate to Cinderella and see that they may not be strong enough to stand up for themselves, but they can be strong by holding on to their dreams. The second complaint that I hear about Cinderella is that she was waiting for a man to save her, and that all she wanted was to find love. Well, let's think about it. Even if that was what she wanted, would that be such a bad thing? One of the things that I think the 2019 adaptation of Little Women got right, and there were many, many things that upset me about it, was that when Meg gets married and she has a conversation with Joe, she says, just because your dreams are different than mine doesn't make them any less valuable. That just because Joe's dream is to be independent and write books doesn't mean that Meg's dream of becoming a mother and a wife doesn't make it any less important. Because there's nothing wrong with looking for love. There's nothing wrong with your dream being to be a mother. Some people really want to be, and some people don't, and that's okay. It doesn't make you any less strong. It doesn't make you any less powerful. It just makes you powerful in a different way. But even if that is the case, that's not what Cinderella wanted. Cinderella never brought up wanting to meet the prince. She wanted to go out to the ball and have a fun time because she's never been allowed to have fun. In the beginning song, A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, we're not told what Cinderella's dream was. But what she says is, in dreams you can lose your heartache. So assumably her dream wasn't necessarily a man save me, but her dream could have just been, I get out of this situation. In fact, when Cinderella meets the prince, she doesn't even know that it's him. It wasn't that she was going to the ball to meet the prince and fall in love and become his wife. She was going because she wanted to have a good time, and she happened to meet this guy who she really liked and spent the whole night with. And like I said, she didn't even know he was the prince. When she goes to leave and he asks where she's going, she says, oh, well, I haven't met the prince yet. And he seems surprised that she didn't realize that that's who he was.
You can't go now, it's only...
Oh, I must, please, I must.
But why?
Well, oh, the prince. I haven't met the prince.
The prince? But didn't you know that...
Goodbye.
After the carriage has turned back into the pumpkin and all of her mice friends have turned back and everything, she says that the night couldn't have been better if the man was the prince himself.
And he was so handsome, and when we danced... Oh, I'm sure that even the prince himself couldn't have been more... Oh, well,
Confirming that she wasn't just covering for herself, that she really didn't know that he was the prince. And we get a third moment of confirmation later on when the stepmother announces to her stepsisters that the strange woman was dancing with the prince all night and now he's looking for her because he's madly in love. And she reacts like this.
Prince.
She's in shock. She did not realize that he was the prince, and now he's in love with her and wants to marry her. And she realizes, this could be my shot. I could finally get out of here. I could finally be with someone who cares about me and someone who loves me. That's what she wanted. Yes, she did want love, but isn't that what everyone wants? But she didn't go to that party to find love. She went to have a good time. Cinderella didn't need a man. She needed money. The man was just a bonus. Overall, I think that people have been sort of unfair to Cinderella in the past. I remember lots of people saying things in the past about how Cinderella is one of the weaker princesses, that she needed a man to save her, that she was in this terrible situation and suddenly she got married and all her problems went away. But that's really not the case. Because like I said, she didn't need the man, she just needed the funds and the opportunity to get herself out of that situation. Overall, Cinderella is a story about being kind and being true to yourself and believing in your dreams despite the people that are going to try and keep you down. And it's a story about a woman trying to escape from her abusive family, and it's a story about a woman finding love when she wasn't expecting it. It teaches kids that if you're kind, that the world will eventually be kind to you, even though it may not seem like it in the beginning. And it teaches you that you can be strong without having to be a fighter. You can just be strong by just being you. And overall, I think that that's a really good message for kids, especially any kids who might be in an abusive home like Cinderella. I think we need to take a second look at Cinderella, and I think we need to start treating it a bit more respectfully. Is it perfect? No. Does it have its issues? Sure. But it was also made in 1950. That is over 70 years ago. Holy cow, that is over 70 years ago. Cinderella is a pretty good movie with a really good message for kids. So let's treat it with a little bit more kindness. But that is it for me today. I hope you like this video. I know it's a little bit different from what I normally do. I am hoping to start reviewing a few more movies. I know it's called the Book Nook, but I store movies with my books. You don't? Let me know in the comments below, have you always thought this way and you think people treat Cinderella unfairly, or do you think that I'm wrong about this and that Cinderella is still a terrible movie? Let me know. I'd love to have a conversation with all of you. If you like this video, feel free to hit that thumbs up button, and if you want to see more stuff like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and stick around. But that's it for me today. I will see all of you lovely people in the next video. Bye!